Well, new and weird fallout from the presidential election, as individuals from all 50 states are now filing petitions to secede from the Union. And the White House is going to have to answer them. Trace Gallagher live in our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
And you talk about a snowball effect here, Megan. We did this story just a couple of days ago, and at that time there were only 20 states that had residents going on whitehouse.gov and signing these petitions asking the president to peacefully allow them to secede from the Union. And at that time, only a couple of states had the 25,000 signatures necessary. And now you look at the maps, and as you said, all 50 states have residents signing these petitions, and now 7 states, including Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas have crossed that 25,000 signature threshold. Those states will have their petitions reviewed by White House staff, though there's no timeline on exactly when that will happen. Across the country, more than 700,000 Americans have signed. Texas had the most with over 100,000. Rick Perry not supporting it, saying, quote, his office, Governor Perry believes in the greatness of our union and nothing should be done to change it, but he also shares the frustrations many Americans have with our federal government. And by the way, if Texas really does secede from the Union, Austin has its own petition saying that they want to secede from Texas. Megan.
All right. Thank you, Trace. All right. We're going to put the issue to the court. Kelly's Court is back in session. On the docket today, are they allowed to secede from the Union? Joining me now, Mercedes Colwin, who's a Fox News legal analyst, and Mark Eiglarsh, who's a former prosecutor, now defense attorney. So here's what confused me about the write-up. There are 66 requests for secession. Give it, I mean, it's been a while, but they're not 66 states. So where are the extra 16 coming from, Mercedes, and can they do it?
I'm not sure where the extra 16 are coming from, but certainly there is precedent for it, believe it or not. The 10th Amendment is very clear. It says the power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So even the 10th Amendment sets forth the standard and says essentially anything that is not found to be unlawful under the Constitution or it's not preempted by federal law is then delegated to the states. And Texas, by the way, has a state constitution that has never been challenged by the U.S. government. And it states clearly Texas people are free to change their government as they choose.
Oh. And yet there's Megan. The pesky matter of that Supreme Court ruling in 1868.
Oh. Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. That Mercedes didn't bring up.
The Supreme Court considered this right around that time. I can't remember why.
I have a response for you. I'm waiting for you, Mark.
Well, let's let the people hear what it is. First of all, I have a wonderful team of interns that found this case. Yes, it's 1869, but it's still doggone good law. It is Texas versus White. And Texas wanted to do the exact same thing that they want to do today. They wanted to pull out of the Union. And Justice Chase, in saying absolutely not, wrote the following. When Texas became one of the United States, she entered into a binding and lasting relationship. The agreement was final. And Justice Chase further wrote that there was no place for reconsideration or revocation except through revolution or through consent of the states. There's no revolution, and the states aren't agreeing. Go for it, Mercedes.
And yet the question is, all these people are signing these petitions. What would it take? I mean, what if they all unanimously wanted to do it? We'll talk about that right after the break. Okay. All right, Mercedes. So how, if at all, could they do it?
They need the U.S. Supreme Court to revisit that case. But let me just say 2 things. One, in that original case,
Why?
Hey, wait a minute. We would still have segregated schools.
What was wrong with the original decision?
If Brown versus Board wasn't decided upon by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1954. So it can happen. These decisions are revisited. And frankly, the Judge Chase
not going to revisit anything. It would take a revolution, would it not? It would take another civil war. Only it would have to work out a different way, Mark.
Yeah, it would take a civil war. It didn't work out for us too well. But let's look at the big picture. People think that 100,000 signatures somehow fairly represents what Texans want. That represents, if my math is correct, 1/3 of 1% of Texans. And as one person on Facebook wrote to me, those people are crazy. That's not what we want.
Oh, now don't rip on the good people of Texas.
Now, people are frustrated.
I didn't. That's what the Facebooker said.
Well, but here's the question. Let's say, what if they had a majority? Let's say 99% of the folks down in Texas wanted to secede from the Union. And what if President Obama said, all right, go.
Well,
you really don't want to be here, you can go. What would happen to the people in Texas who wanted to stay? But I guess they'd have to leave.
They'd have to move. They would move, Megan. But you know what? If the federal government had a problem with this whole issue about secession, they should have stepped forward and said, that Texas Constitution, that's unconstitutional under federal law.
They have to speak to it, don't they?
And they haven't done that.
The feds have to speak to this. That's one of the amazing things. They are required, I am reading,
exactly right,
to actually respond to this. And Mark, the White House says it will. It's going to have to go on the record with this?
Well, of course. Yeah, they're going to have to go on the record and they're going to say, yeah, thank you. We respectfully decline your invitation to pull away. And by the way, if you don't like what the popular vote did, it's called a democracy. Get over it.
Well, both the popular vote and the Electoral College vote went the same way this time around.
Yes,
but, I mean,
right,
this tends to be people who are upset about the election results one way or the other.
They're entitled.
Is it dramatic? I mean, do you think we're going to see more and more of these requests as the country is just so divided?
With 48.5 million people saying we want to change this administration, absolutely. We already have 50 states that are making these types of petitions. We're going to see more of that.
66.
Oh, that's right, 66.
All
they
right,
must have counted Austin.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See ya.
Megan.
Thanks, Meg.